Welcome back. All right, 10-game review tonight. There were 10 games on at the same time. Did my best. That being said, there's only 2 games tomorrow. And then there's a ton of games on Saturday. Tomorrow's preview is going to be pretty packed. So we'll start things off with Utah and Boston. Not the most exciting game. Just going to come right out and say not the most exciting game, not the prettiest game, but Boston gets a couple of needed points here. So it's Vejmelka versus Korpisalo. Utah had the only shot on net 4 minutes in. Bortuzzo had a fight with Kastelik. Power play for Boston. Zacha has a chance that's held. Geeky's denied. That power play's killed off. Utah then gets a turn on the power play. That's killed off. Shots are 7-3 for Boston with 7.5 minutes left. The Bruins go back to the power play. That's killed off as well. Bortuzzo has a slapper that's kicked aside with 2:23 left. Boston gets their third power play of the first period, and was it successful? Nah, it was killed too. So it's 0-0 after 1. Second period, the shots are 2-0 Utah 2 minutes in. We get a power play for Boston. That ends up becoming 9 seconds of 4-on-4, and then it's a Utah power play. That's killed off as well. Both teams preventing presses. It's a lot of one and done in this game at that stage. Krause has a chance that's blocked and cleared. The shots are 9-4 or 6-4, I should say, for Boston with 8.5 minutes left. Boston goes back to the power play and they score on it. At 12:41, it's Elias Lindholm from Marchand and Pastrnak, making it 1-0. He buries a rebound and close there. First third goal of the season. Bortuzzo then has another fight with Kastelik, so that's 2. Power play for Utah, that's killed off. The Bruins press with 4.5 minutes left. It's 1-0 Boston after 2. Third period, early press by Boston. We get a power play for the Bruins. That's killed off. The shots are 3 apiece at 6.5 minutes. Things are punchy on a hold by Vejmelka. The Bruins press, they're kept to the outside. Merkulov with a net feed, that gets picked off. Utah presses with 9 minutes left. There's a power play for Utah. That's killed off. Utah calls a timeout with 1:47 left and the goalie pulled. But with 1:38 left, the Bruins get a power play, which essentially ends it. It's a 1-0 win for Boston. They go to 9-9-3 on the season. Utah 7-9-3. There was an empty netter that gets taken off the board because they did pull the goalie to go 5-on-5. But either way, Boston still wins. 3 stars in this one: Korpisalo, Elias Lindholm, and Vejmelka. Shots on net, 15-5 Boston in the first, 11-9 Boston in the second, 7-5 Utah in the third. Final shots, 31-21 for the Bruins. Power plays, Utah 0-4. Boston 1-7. Hits 24-10 for Boston. Vejmelka saves 30 out of 31. Korpisalo saves all 21 shots for the shutout. Who knew Korpisalo would be the better of the 2 goalies in Boston this year? It's kind of crazy, ain't it? Speaking of which, in the second game we're going to look at, it's Vegas and Ottawa, and Ullmark was at home against Samsonov for the Vegas Golden Knights. Early jump for the Sens. The shots are 3-0 in their favor 2.5 minutes in. But at 6:45, after a fantastic save for Ullmark, that rebound gets buried by Eichel, Barbashev, and Theodore with the assists. It's 1-0 for the Vegas Golden Knights. Sens press at 8 minutes. Hurdle has a wraparound chance that's held. The shots end up being 10-9 for Vegas with 5.5 minutes left. Sens press with 4 minutes left, but at the end of the period, there are 29 shots between the two teams. Only 1 goal, and that belongs to Vegas. Second period, the lone shot on net is Vegas's at 3 minutes. Stützle has a near miss and close. There's a power play for Ottawa. That's killed off. Sens press at 7.5 minutes. We get a power play for Vegas. That's killed off. And then Howden puts one through Ullmark on a rush. Barbashev and Hanifin with the assists at 10:51, making it 2-0. We then get a power play for Vegas. That's killed off. Then there was an early whistle that bailed out Vegas. Referee lost sight of it, but Samsonov didn't have it. Sens press in the final minute. Roz denied on a 2-on-1 rush. It's 2-0 for Vegas after 2. Third period, early press by Vegas. Shots are 2-0 in their favor 3 minutes in. Fans had really been taken out of this one at that stage. Very, very quiet. Perron has a shot that's blocked. Then we get a power play for the Sens, and they score on it. It's Gaudet, who hasn't scored in a bit, but he gets one here. I think that's his 8th on the season. Gregg and Giroux with the assists at 7:17. The Sens look to tie. The fans are in it, but at 9:17, so exactly 2 minutes later, Dorofeyev scores from Carlson and Hanifin, and then Dorofeyev has a rush chance shortly after, which is blocked out. And then at 12:38, Batherson makes things interesting by scoring from Sanderson and Stützle to make it 3-2. Then there's a too many men call on Vegas, which caused Bruce Cassidy to yell fudge really loud. I think he was hungry. So the Sens get the power play. That's killed off, and Vegas does hold on. They win this one 3-2. They go to 12-6-2 on the season. Ottawa drops to 8-10-1 with the loss. 3 stars in this one: Samsonov, Barbashev, and Batherson. Your shots: 15 to 14 Vegas in the first, 12 to 8 Vegas in the second, 18 to 5 Ottawa in the third. Final shots are 40 to 32 for Ottawa. Power plays: Vegas 0 for 2, Ottawa 1 for 3. The hits: 36 to 30 for Ottawa. Samsonov saved 38 out of 40. Great night for him. Ullmark saves 29 out of 32. All right, next up. The Islanders and the Detroit Red Wings. So it's Sorokin versus Lyon. We get a power play for the Wings. That's killed off. The Islanders get some pressure after they're done with the kill. Shots are 4-1 for Detroit at 4.5 minutes, but Islanders, they score first. Holmstrom tips one in. Mayfield with the assist at 5:51. Isles then press for another. Palmieri gets robbed. Lyon holds on there. DeBrincat can't bury one in close. Mott has a net drive that's blocked. The shots are 11-7 for Detroit with 7.5 minutes left. There's a near miss for Casper in close. The Wings press with 4 minutes left. The fans call one. The referee does not. It's 1-0 for the Islanders after one, which is interesting because Detroit outplayed them. Now remember, earlier in the season, Islanders outplayed Detroit badly, but they lost, and it felt like we might be seeing the reverse in this one. The announcers mentioned that a bunch. Second period, there's an early press by the Islanders, and they had the only shot of the period 3 minutes in. There's a delay game call that gives the Wings a power play. That's killed off. The Wings go back to the power play, and Mickey Redmond, bless him, he was not happy with that power play as it was really struggling, and the Islanders kill that one off too. Sherrod has a shot that's held as the Wings press. Casper's then denied in close. The Wings press with 3 minutes left, and then Anders Lee's denied in the final minute as the Islanders are looking for an insurance goal. It remains 1-0 after two. Third period, early press by the Wings, and they had the only shot on net 3.5 minutes in, so not a lot of early shots in any of the periods of this one. We get a power play for the Islanders. That's killed off. Then there's a sharp angle shot by Kane. That's saved. Things are pushy on a hold by Sorokin. The shots are 5-4 in favor of Detroit with 7.5 minutes left. The Wings press with 6.5 minutes left. And on their 29th shot, they solve Sorokin. It is Berggren from Comfer at 15-14. The Islanders then press with 3.5 minutes left. And then Raymond makes it 2-1. He scores from Larkin and Edvinsson at 19:08. Suddenly, going from being down by a goal with 5 minutes left to being up by a goal with 52 seconds left. So the Islanders call a timeout. The Wings guilty of an icing with 6 seconds left. And Horvat is denied just before the closing buzzer. He tries to tie it and almost does, but Detroit wins this one 2-1. This one hurts if you're the Islanders. They had the lead with 5 minutes left. Detroit goes to 8-9-2. The Islanders drop to 7-8-5. I was sure this was going to overtime and that it'd be an overtime loss for the Islanders, but not tonight. 3 stars: Raymond, Berggren, and Holmstrom. Shots on net favored Detroit the whole way. 11-9 in the first, 11-6 in the second, 9-8 in the third. Final shots 31-23 for the Red Wings. Power plays: the Islanders 0 for 1, Detroit 0 for 3. The hits: 29-25 Detroit. Sorokin saves 29 out of 31. Lyon saves 22 out of 23. Entertaining game? Sure, but the scoring tonight was relatively low, with the exception of one game. And if you watch the games or know the scores, you know which game we're going to talk about, just not on this board. All right, next up, Carolina and New Jersey. What a game by the Devils here. The Devils are definitely better than last year, and I know there's still the concerns about the defense, and the goaltending's not as consistent as you'd like, but the Devils are definitely better than last year. So it's Martin versus Markstrom. Kane's press at 2.5 minutes. We get a power play for Carolina. Natchez has a one-timer. He fires wide. The power play's killed off. 2 shots on net. In fact, 7 minutes into the game, the shots are 4-0 for Carolina, and then they would score first. It is Roslovic bearing a rebound in close. Orlov and Chatfield with the assists at 8:43. The Devils press to respond. The Canes press with 9 minutes left, and eventually New Jersey gets on the board. Bratt scores from Jack Hughes and Palat at 14:45. The Canes look to respond. Then with 1:14 left, the Devils get a power play, which becomes a 5-on-3. So it's 1-1 after one, but to start the second period, there's 47 seconds left in a 5-on-3 for the Devils, and they would score just before it became a 5-on-4. Nason from Jack Hughes and Bratt at 46 seconds, so 1 second before. The Canes do kill off the 5-on-4. There were 4 total shots for the New Jersey Devils there. Jack Hughes to Bratt, there's a near miss there. Devils press at 7 minutes. The shots are 3-2 New Jersey with 8.5 minutes left. So Carolina's known for getting tons of shots. New Jersey didn't allow it tonight, which says a lot about the game New Jersey played. Devils press in the final minute, but with 15 seconds left, the Canes get a power play, so that rolls over into the third, and they score on it. It was a beautiful bank pass. It was an absolutely amazing bank pass that just amazed the New Jersey announcers. Danico just had to take his hat off for that one. Svechnikov on the power play from Natchez and Gosta spared 11 seconds. It's one of those plays where you bank it off the backboards or off the glass, and it goes in and it looks fantastic. And you know they've practiced it. You know that. But yeah, that tied the game at 2. Canes then pressed for the lead. In fact, 4 minutes in, the shots are 5-0 for Carolina. But New Jersey gets another. Hamilton scores from Mercer and Tatar at 10:35, so puts New Jersey back ahead. Then we get a power play for the Devils. There was a near miss for Heischer, and then after a bit more cycling, Bratt scores on the power play from Nason and Jack Hughes at 14:05. So while Carolina had some really good stretches in this game, when they needed to, New Jersey gets the goals. There's a near miss for Meyer on a 3-on-2 rush with 1:41 left. The Canes call a timeout. Whatever they discussed didn't work. New Jersey wins this one 4-2. They go to 13-7-2 with the win. The Canes 14-5 with the loss. Your 3 stars are Markstrom, Bratt, and Hamilton. Shots on net, 9-7 New Jersey in the first, 8-7 New Jersey in the second, 8-4 Carolina in the third. The shots are 22-21 Carolina. That is not a very Carolina-like shot total. Power plays, Carolina 1 for 2, New Jersey 2 for 3. The hits, 25-12 New Jersey. Martin saves 17 out of 21. Markstrom saves 20 out of 22. But entertaining game? Yes, I will say that it was. All right, last game on this board, Colorado and Washington. So again, low scores all the way across the board here. And then board number 2, it just kind of goes a little bit crazy at the start. Georgiev versus Thompson in this one. Wood has a rush chance that's held. We get a power play for the Avs. There's a shorthanded rush chance for Tom Wilson. That saved. Power play's killed off. The Caps press at 5.5 minutes. The shots are 3-2 for the Avs 7 minutes in. We get a power play for the Caps. That's killed off. Capitals get some pressure with 6.5 minutes left. And at 17:04, Pierre-Luc Dubois scores from Wilson and Van Riemsdyk. So then the Caps press for another. But it's 1-0 after the first in favor of Washington. A pretty good first period for them. Second period. A period that's dominated by Colorado. Roy has a screenshot that's saved. The Caps press at 2.5 minutes. The Avs press on their next shift. The shots are 3 apiece at 5 minutes. And then the Avs just take over. Makar's denied as the Avs press. There's a net feed by O'Connor that gets picked off. There's a glass issue which causes a bit of a delay in the middle of the period there. Neither team's getting to the net very well, but Colorado's about to change that. The Avs press with 7 minutes left. They end up getting a power play, and they score on it. At 14:19, it's Rantanen from Drouin. The Caps would look to respond. They don't hit the net. Middlestad can't bury one in close. The Avs press with 4 minutes left. Makar has a net drive, near miss there. And McKinnon is robbed in the final 30 seconds of that period. So it's 1-1 after 1, and the Caps probably feeling pretty good that they didn't allow one there. So second period, the Avs press at 2 minutes, and eventually on a rush, Wood scores. He gets that one from Makar and Kelly at 3:29. The Caps, again, they look to respond. We get a power play for the Avs. That's killed off. The Caps then get a turn on the power play. That one's killed off as well. Shots are 7-5 for the Capitals with 8.5 minutes left in the period. Things are pushed on a hold by Thompson. The Caps press with 4 minutes left. We get a post for McMichael during the 6-on-5. 50.7 seconds left. The Caps call a timeout. Whatever they discuss doesn't work. The Avs hold on. They win this one 2-1. Impressive win for Colorado. I understand that it's without Ovechkin, and that's going to be a cloud over it. But it's an 11-9 record for Colorado. On the Washington side, they dropped to 13-5 on the season. I think it's 13-5-1, isn't it? At any rate, 13-5 to start with. I think there's 1 in that third column. 3 stars, Georgiev, Thompson, and Dubois. Shots on net, 12-6 Washington in the first, 12-3 Colorado in the second, 14-9 for Washington in the third. Final shots are 29-27 for Washington. Power plays, Colorado 1 for 3, Washington 0 for 2. The hits, 13-8 for Washington. Georgiev saves 28 out of 29, and Thompson, 25 saves on 27 shots. So, that being said, let's go to board number 2. So, my theory is that the scoring tonight was all here. It's all here. There's some here. And then the Shock Llama shows up on the board. So that's the first time the Shock Llama's been on the board in a bit. But let's get into what was a game between Tampa Bay and Columbus, which I was thinking at one point, this game's going to be like 12-10. So it's Johansson versus Merzlikins. They both had a rough night. We get a power play for Tampa, and they score on it. At 1:51, it's point from Kucherov and Gensel. The shots are 4-0 Tampa at 3 minutes, and they would score again. And it was a bad line change by Columbus. They take advantage. It is Hagel from Kucherov and Sorelli at 3:58. Columbus presses for response. Chernak has a screenshot that's held. Van Riemsdyk's denied. Johansson holds there. And at 11:52, Atkinson makes it 3-0 for Tampa. Hedman and Chafee with the assists, and that's a pass to screen from the point. But Columbus fights back. At 13:35, Monahan buries a rebound and close. Voronkov and Severson with the assists, so that makes it 3-1. Columbus presses for another. The Bolts press with 3 minutes left. Danforth denied and close. It looked like Kucherov had been injured, but he would come back and play in this game. We'll see if there's any updates after the game on his status. So second period, 28 seconds in, on a turnover breakaway, Voronkov scores. Monahan and Werenski with the assists. It's 3-2. Columbus then goes to the power play, and they score on it. At 1:55, it's Kent Johnson from Werenski and Marchenko. And then at 2 minutes and 11 seconds, Chafee bats one out of the air into the net from Geekie, and that makes it 4-3. We're not done. 3:42 in, Werenski scores from Marchenko and Monahan. And then at 5:26, Chinakhov scores from Sillinger and Olivier. So there's a lot of goals on the board. A lot. And then on a fast, that Chinakhov one's on a fast break. And then Sorelli scores from Hagel and Kucherov at 6:18. At this point, I decided, cut back on the notes. I don't want to have to use the tiny board. I haven't had to use the tiny board in a long time. Which is basically I run out of room. I don't have anywhere else to put the stats and the updates from that game. And I put it on a tiny whiteboard that I hold up. I know. So the shots are 10-9 for Tampa at the half, which tells you just how many shots there were in that period. Columbus presses with 4.5 minutes left. Columbus also presses to close it out. It's 5-5 after 2. Third period, shots are 4-0 Columbus at 4 minutes. Columbus presses at 6 minutes. We get a power play for Tampa, and Columbus scores on it. It's a shorthanded goal by Kent Johnson. Werenski and Monahan with the assists at 10:39. But then Tampa Bay scores on the power play to tie the game at 6. At 11:23, it's Geekie from Gonsalves and Mosier. So we're going to overtime. Tampa Bay 2-1 in overtimes. Columbus came into this one 0-2 in overtimes. Bolts controlled early, but after their shot is saved, Werenski's is not. At 1:26, he wires it from the slot. Sillinger and Provorov with the assists. The VCR magnets on the board to symbolize 80s. This is an 80s game, obviously. It's a 7-6 score in overtime. Columbus goes to 8-9-2. They'll take the 2 points. Tampa 10-6-2. There's probably going to be some discussion of blowing a 3-goal lead in the first period and losing 7-6 in overtime. I don't think John Cooper's going to be happy with that. So 3 stars are Werenski, Monahan, and Kent Johnson. Good for him in his return. Shots on net, 12-8 Tampa in the first, 22-13 Columbus in the second. 12-4 Columbus in the third. Both teams had one shot in the overtime. Columbus the one that matters. Final shots 43-30 Columbus. Power plays Tampa Bay 2 for 2. Columbus 1 for 1. The hits 28-21 for Columbus. Johansson 36 saves on 43 shots. Merzlikins 24 saves on 30 shots at the other end. So yeah, big win for Columbus and crazy game. All the goals reside there. All right, next up. San Jose and St. Louis. So we get back into more normal scores here. Askarov versus Binnington. Walker buries one from the doorstep 11 seconds in from Foxa. So it didn't start out as a normal game. And for Askarov, it's like, welcome to the NHL. Shots are 2-0 Blues at 2.5 minutes. Perunovic gets dinged on a shot block. We get a power play for the Sharks. That becomes a 5-on-3 for 41 seconds. They don't score during the 5-on-3, but during the subsequent 5-on-4, they do. It's Wenberg from Granlund and Celebrini at 8:23. Blues press to respond. We get a power play for St. Louis. That is unsuccessful. Shots are 8-7 for the Blues with 4 minutes left. The Blues press with 3.5 minutes left. It's 1-1 after 1. Second period, nearly pressed by St. Louis. They don't get shots out of it. The shots are 2-0 San Jose 4 minutes in. Costin's then denied on a rush. The teams trade turnovers. The Blues press at 9.5 minutes. And then Kyrou deflects one 5-hole at 11:47. Pierre-Olivier Joseph and Thomas with the assists on that. Makes it 2-1 St. Louis. The Blues press with 7.5 minutes left. But the shots are 6-4 for the Sharks with 4 minutes left. Not a whole lot else to write about. It is 2-1 St. Louis after 2. Third period, early press by the Blues. Shots are 3-2 St. Louis at 3 minutes. You can see that at this point, we were down to 4 games. A lot more notes for the third period. Sharks press at 4.5 minutes. The teams trade rushes. Zetterlund has a net drive. That's blocked. As a general rule, when I'm writing notes, I will not write anything I don't see. So when you don't see a lot of notes about certain goals and certain plays. I didn't see it. I'm just writing what happened. The app lets me know. The teams trade rushes. Zetterlund has a net drive that's blocked. Falk fires one high on a rush. The shots are 8-3 for the Blues with 6.5 minutes left. Sharks press with 6 minutes left. They get more pressure with 4 minutes left. The Blues got pinned down for a while there. Wallman has a shot that's caught and held. Celebrini prevents an empty net goal by Robert Thomas. With 1:47 left, the Sharks call a timeout. Things are pushy on a hold by Binnington. And then at 19:49, they were counting it down. And Wenberg buries one from a sharp angle. Granlund and Celebrini with the assists. So Celebrini with a couple of helpers tonight. And we're going to overtime, tied at 2. Blues control early. Parayko fires one wide. Celebrini has a net feed that's picked off. And then there was a crossbar for Celebrini as well. We're going to the shootout. In the shootout, the only goal was scored by Jake Neighbors. So it's a 3-2 shootout victory for St. Louis. Much needed victory. They're 9-11-1. For San Jose, 6-11-5 with a shootout loss. So 3 stars. Binnington, Neighbors, and Wenberg. Another game where a goaltender is one of the 3 stars. It didn't happen in Tampa Bay, Columbus. No idea why. Shots on net, 15-7 St. Louis in the first, 6-6 in the second, 9-9 in the third. In the overtime, the shots 2-1 for San Jose. Final shots 31-24 for the Blues. Power plays, San Jose 1 for 2, St. Louis 0 for 1. The hits 23-22 for San Jose. Askarov saves 29 out of 31. Binnington saves 22 out of 24. All right, moving along. Florida and Chicago. So the shock alarm is there. It's not that Florida loses. It's kind of how. Like, I know the shots are there, but it didn't feel like Florida had it tonight. So it's Knight versus Mrazek. Teravainen has a rush chance that's held. We then get a power play for Chicago, and they score on it. And it's Teravainen that gets the goal from Bertuzzi and Vlasic at 2:46. He buries a rebound in close. Shots are 4-3 Chicago at 4 minutes. We get a power play for Florida. That's killed off. The Panthers press at the half. Shots are 6-4 for the Hawks, though, with 8 minutes left. Panthers press with 3.5 minutes left. It stays 1-0 Chicago after 1. Second period, the Panthers press at 2 minutes. Shots are 3-1 Florida at 3.5 minutes. Mikheyev has a chance that's held. Panthers press at 6.5 minutes. The Hawks press are kept to the outside. And then on a fast break, Craig Smith at 10:07 from Maroon and Foligno. I believe that's his 5th goal, too. So he's on pace for about 20. But Florida would answer right away. Reinhart from Ekblad and Forsling at 10:41. He fires that one past the screen into the net. So Reinhardt staying hot. Barkov has a rush chance that's saved. The Panthers press with 6 minutes left. And I kept waiting for Florida to just take over the game. And they did in parts of the third, but it still just didn't feel like Florida. Smith fires one wide on a rush. Dickinson not on the bench for Chicago at that point. I do think he came back into the game. But it's 2-1 for Chicago after 2. Third period. Things are pushy at the Panthers bench on a whistle. Things are punchy on a Mrazek hold. You could see Florida's getting more frustrated as the game goes along. The shots are 3-1 in favor of Florida at 5 minutes. Then there's a delay game penalty by the Hawks. Reinhardt has a slot shot that's blocked. I don't know why I keep writing that on the board. I always stumble over it. I kind of feel like at this point, I'm doing it to challenge myself to say slot shot blocked. It's not easy. It's a tongue twister I created for myself to torture myself. So that power play's killed off. We're down to 5.5 minutes left in the game. The Hawks are really doing a good job at this point of preventing sustained pressure by Florida. That would change, though, with 3.5 minutes left. The Hawks have a 2-on-1 that misfires. The goalie pull happens with 2:19 left. Reinhardt gets absolutely robbed. Mrazek holds on there. And then at 19 minutes, on a turnover, Foligno taps a puck. It goes right in the empty net. And so it's a 3-1 win for Chicago. They go to 7-12-1 with the victory. With the loss, Florida, the opposite record, 12-7-1. So your 3 stars are Craig Smith, Foligno, and Mrazek. Both Foligno brothers were 3 stars tonight. I think that's a nice touch. Shots on net, 9-7 Florida in the first, 9-7 Florida in the second, 15-6 Florida in the third. The final shots, 33-20 for Florida. Power plays, the Panthers 0 for 2. Chicago scored on the only one they had. Hits, 19-18 Chicago. Spencer Knight, 17 saves on 19 shots. Mrazek does Mrazek things. 32 saves on 33 shots. I am not surprised when Mrazek has a fantastic game. I'm more surprised when he doesn't. All right, next up, the Rangers in Calgary. The Rangers almost did this, didn't they? So it's Shesterkin versus Wolf. The shots are 2-0 Flames at 2.5 minutes. Zary has a chance that's held. Shesterkin's keeping this one scoreless. Flames are getting tons of chances. Eventually one goes in. On their 9th shot, Coronado scores at 7:26. So they had 9 shots at 7.5 minutes. Sharangovich and Uyghur with the assists. The Rangers had 4 shots to that point in the game. Rangers press at the half. The Flames, they get some pressure with 7 minutes left. We get a power play for Calgary. That's killed off. The Flames press after it's done. With 3:38 left, the Flames get another power play. That's killed off. Miromanov's then denied in the closing seconds. So it's 1-0 Calgary after 1. It could have been way worse. The Flames put 20 shots on the board, and a lot of them were very dangerous. Igor's keeping this close. Second period, shots are 4-1 Calgary, 2 minutes into the period. So they start just where they left off. Rangers press, but they're kept to the outside. Then there's a blocker save on VC. The Flames press at 5 minutes. The shots are 12-4 for the Flames at 7.5 minutes. Lafreniere's denied as the Rangers press. We then get a power play for Calgary, and they score on it. Sharangovich buries a one-timer. Uyghur and Coronado with the assists at 8:29. So Coronado had a good game tonight, a goal and an assist for him. And then there's a hand pass challenge. It counts. So whatever the Rangers thought happened, if it did, it wasn't definitive, and so that goal counts. So that leads to a power play for the Flames, which is killed off. The Rangers cleared after. They allowed 2 shots on that power play. Panarin to Trouba near miss. The shots are 16-9 for Calgary with 5.5 minutes left. The Rangers finally get their first good shift with like 3.5 minutes left, and they score on it. At 16:36, is Lafreniere bearing a rebound. Trouba and Lindgren with the assists. And then 17 seconds later, at 13:53, Cooley tips a point shot past a screen. No chance for Wolf there. Miller and Fox with the assists. It's 2-2 after 2. Third period. There's an early power play for the Rangers. That was killed off. The Rangers get some pressure after it's done. Carrick's denied, and then there's some pushing there on a hold by Wolf. Shots are 8-2 for the Rangers at 4.5 minutes. But to the Flames' credit, they did turn things around. Coronado's denied from the slot. We get a power play for Calgary. That's killed off. And then Zeri roofs one from the doorstep. Absolutely beautiful goal. Huberdeau and Uyghur with the assists at 10:34. And that makes it a 3-2 score for Calgary. Goalie pull happens with 2:20 left. An empty net miss by Coronado. Kreider then fires one wide from the slot. And then Huberdeau hits a post on the empty netter. And when that puck went the other way, if you're a Flames fan, odds are you might have been concerned like, oh, it's not a Patrick Steffen, is it? Nope. They hold on. They win it. Final score is 3-2 for Calgary. They go to 11-6-3 with the win, and an impressive win as well. The Rangers 12-5-1 with the loss. 3 stars, Uyghur, Sharangovich, and Zeri. Shots on net, 20-5 Calgary in the first, 17-14 Calgary in the second, 12-10 Calgary in the third. They outshoot the Rangers 49-29. Power plays, the Rangers 0 for 1, Calgary 1 for 5. The hits 19-12 for the Rangers. Shesterkin did everything he could, made 46 saves on 49 shots. Wolf, 27 saves on 29 shots at the other end. I'm very surprised neither goaltender ended up being in the 3 stars. This was the night where goaltenders are in the 3 stars frequently, minus this over here. And yeah, it just didn't happen in this one. No idea why. I think that's kind of crazy that neither goaltender, who both had a fantastic game, can end up in the 3 stars. All right, and last game of the night, Minnesota and the Oilers. So, Marc-Andre Fleury against Stuart Skinner, and on their first shot, the Oilers score. It's Draisaitl from McDavid at 27 seconds. The Wild answer not too long after, but that goal is deemed to be offside on a challenge. The shots are 3-0 for the Oilers at 4.5 minutes, but Minnesota, they're resilient, and they would score. At 9:56, it's Boldy from Kaprizov and Brodin, and then the Wild look for the lead. In fact, the shots are 7-5 for the Oilers with 4 minutes left, showing that Minnesota's catching up there. 3:03 left, the Wild get a power play. That's killed off, and in the final 30 seconds of the period, Middleton is denied. So it's 1-1 after 1. Second period, crazy period of hockey here. 3:09 in, Foligno scores from Chisholm and Goudreau. So that line had a pretty good night. McDavid's denied on a rush, and then at 6:03, Perry goes for the wraparound, and it goes in off Spurgeon's skate. You'll take it. Perry gets credited with the goal, makes it a 2-2 tie. The Oilers then look for the lead, but the Wild press at 9 minutes, and they would score. Johansson, he goes by Johansson now, I guess. I haven't checked in the last couple years. He does go back and forth. But yeah, Johansson from Hartman at 9:10, and it's a wrist shot in close that gets past Skinner. The Wild press with 8 minutes left. We kind of had a fight between Boldy and Kajula. Both of them threw a punch, and then Boldy just goes down. And not long after, at 17:02, Goudreau roofs one in on a rush. Hartman with the assist there. It was a turnover by the Oilers at center ice, and they made him pay. Things are punchy at the Horn. These teams not liking each other very much. It is 4-2 after 2 in favor of Minnesota. And Minnesota has a perfect record if they lead after 2 this year. Third period, there's an early press by the Oilers. The Oilers draw a power play. McDavid to Perry. There's a near miss there. That power play's killed off. The shots, though, are 5-2 for the Oilers at 7 minutes. The Oilers press at 9 minutes, but then at 9:50, on a rebound, on a rush, Goudreau buries a rebound. The assists by Middleton and Foligno. So there's Middleton on the board again. He gets another assist tonight. And there's Foligno with another point. The Oilers go back to the power play. That's killed off. The Wild press with 4 minutes left. Goalie pull happens with 2:53 left. 2 minutes left. The Oilers call a timeout. They would score, though. Jeff Skinner gets one. He hasn't scored in a while, so that had to feel somewhat good, even though it doesn't end up mattering much in the end. Perry and Henrique with the assists at 19:35. It makes your final score 5-3. Minnesota 13-3-3 on the season. The Oilers 10-9-2 with the loss. Your 3 stars are Goudreau, Hartman, and Foligno, because that line had a great night. Shots on net, 9-7 Minnesota in the first, 13-10 Edmonton in the second, 12-7 Edmonton in the third. Final shots, 32-26 for the Oilers. Power plays, Minnesota 0-1, Edmonton 0-2. The hits were 25-18 for Minnesota. Marc-Andre Fleury, good night, 29 saves on 32 shots. And Skinner, rough night statistically, 21 saves on 26 shots, but a lot of those goals by Minnesota. Not sure how he's going to stop them. Let me know your thoughts regarding tonight's games in the comment section below, as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe in the event you may not have done so already. Thank you guys so much for all your support, as always. I will talk to you again soon.